Elden Ring is, in itself, a paradox. I've never had a game that I've loved so much beat me down to the point of hatred, only for me to go back over and over and over again and fall back in love with it after what seems like no time at all. It's a frustrating, relaxing, beautiful, ugly, lore-rich, story-hiding, awe-inspiring, rage-inducing game that I can't seem to stop playing. The combat in this game is rich and rigid and precise, yet it's also somewhat repetitive and requires pattern memorization. There are dozens of weapons in this game, yet they are all locked behind stat requirements that have you wishing you would put more into intelligence so that you could wield a new spell, or more into strength so that you could wield a new colossal weapon. There's a lot that you want to do in this game, but it feels like you're limited by your stats. It's also really rich in loot. You'll find behind every bush, tree, and ruin some kind of an item, but it lets you down because most of the items you end up finding are only usable in a fairly subpar crafting system. Now, this is the very first Souls game that I've ever played, so I had heard plenty of warning about the difficulty to expect from this kind of game. And while it's easy to admit it's definitely difficult, this game is also very forgiving. Paths to bosses allow you to bypass all enemies along the way. You can summon other players or creatures to help you in the boss fights themselves. It also gives you shrines of Marika to spawn you, in most cases, right outside the boss fights, so you can keep doing the fights over and over again without having the lengthy wind-up. The real difficulty in this game comes with how it expects the player to be treated by the world around them. You see, you're not some crazy, unique, and powerful person, not in this world. You have the potential to become the Elden Lord, but it's only potential. From the beginning, you're simply a piece of this world that's surrounded by other pieces of this world, which are all bigger and stronger than you, and they all want to see you crushed. Navigating is something that I had a lot of difficulty with in this game. You see, Elden Ring is a big game. It's filled with multiple different biomes that take form from anything like a winter wonderland to an underground sea of scarlet rock to a cityscape that's both beautiful and battle-worn, and there's a dragon corpse there. It's incredible. There's an island in the sky, there's an underground land of roots and death and hellscape, there's mountaintops, there's a village made of windmills, there's a lot in this game. You do have points of grace that point you in the direction to go, but the thing is they never stop pointing, so I was never positive if I had finished my objective or if there was more that I needed to do. I needed a lot of help throughout the game, from chat or from wiki, for a lot of the quest progression, because the information that you need to progress is often hidden in minute-seeming dialogues or hint pages that are sold by a lot of the merchants. The co-op in this game is something that I purely hate. It's limiting, it opens you up to invasions, it seems like something that was only ever really meant for boss fights, which makes sense. Invasions are something in general that I don't like in this game, but I understand it's an integral part for a Souls-like game. Not to mention you can turn it off when you're playing solo, so it really isn't too bothersome. However, in co-op, you are forced to leave it on and allow yourself to be invaded. It was pretty frustrating finally getting into a world with your friend, only to be invaded and lose a bunch of flasks before you were able to begin adventuring. Although, to be fair, adventuring isn't really what you can do in co-op because it's so limited. You're assigned to small areas of the map that you can explore, and that's it. Walls of fog block off access to all other regions, so whatever it is that you want to do has to be done within a very confined area. It's great for boss fights and clearing dungeons, but exploration and riding around the lands of in-between with a friend for the sake of fun just isn't something that you can do in this game. Even as a new Souls player, I can see how amazing of a game this really is. It's frustrating and it's spiteful to its players, but that gives it its own kind of fun that allows it to be ambitious with its enemy designs and platforming. Just one look at the bosses in this game shows you how much fun they really had in their design. It all fits perfectly into this world too, which is saying a lot because you can have anything from dragons to knights to spidery hands that attack you at any moment. No, the bosses are my favorite thing in this game by far. They look amazing and were usually really, really fun to fight, and always kept me asking, what is your story? What was your part of this world? What's your part in my story? What's your part in me becoming the Elden Lord? And how did you let it all go so terribly wrong? I love the bosses in this game. Overall, I understand the draw to this game completely. It's been met with one raving review after another, and honestly, it absolutely deserves it. Like I said, this game feels like a paradox for me. There's a lot to not like about it, but I think that the game uses what normally feels like a negative to create a positive experience for the player. It beats us down over and over and over again, but we just keep getting back up, put on our best Dickens and ask, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" It's a crazy game. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. The end.